Sick son of a is gonna pay. This is justice for Sade. Who the would do something like this to my beautiful baby? She hurt nobody.
Now for what's tipping the scales of justice, the family and the friends of beautiful Sade Robinson are reeling as more of her remains have been recovered in connection to her murder.
She was bright, always, making feel people welcomed. She looked out for my baby. The least I could do was look out for her mama's baby.
We need to do whatever we can to bring her home. Until we find out what we need to find out, we just come out and you just keep pushing forward. And we let the experts come and decide, determine what they know. And we're just the eyes and the ears on the ground.
On Thursday, the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office revealed that more human remains were found on a remote stretch of tree-lined beach near Lake Michigan. And investigators believe those remains belong to the 19-year-old who was killed and dismembered earlier this month. 33-year-old Maxwell Anderson is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and arson, all stemming from Robinson's death. Now, the two went out on a first date on April the 1st, and since then, Robinson's body parts have been found in several locations. For more on this case and the ongoing investigation, let's take you now to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where we find Scripps News investigative reporter Jenna Ray, who joins us live with the very latest. Jenna, good morning to you. Milwaukee police announced more human remains recently discovered, as you know. Share with us, if you would, please, the very latest on that development.
That's exactly right, Julie, and it's a case that's really been rocking the community here in Milwaukee and beyond. Today is the first time that sheriff's deputies are telling us they're actually going to be getting in Lake Michigan and in the water, and crews will use sonar to search Lake Michigan and the shoreline for other missing body parts. As you mentioned earlier, the latest update came in yesterday morning out of the city of South Milwaukee. It's about 20 minutes south of the city of Milwaukee. We're told someone was walking along a shoreline on a pretty remote beach here on Lake Michigan. They found a torso and a leg, called 911, and Sheriff's Office investigators came out right away. Within hours, it was confirmed both body parts did belong to Sade Robinson. Now, several hours after that finding, her friends and family and volunteers in the community came out to that area to search again. They've been issuing these search efforts for the last 3 weeks now and have been turning up body parts during those searches. Now, it's important to note that the area where they found the torso and the leg yesterday were actually not part of the investigation that we had previously learned last week. Her phone was pinged in several different locations. Investigators found her phone in several locations across the entire county, but the specific location yesterday was not one of those locations where her phone was pinged, so it's still unclear how those body parts got there. As you mentioned, the person in custody and who's now charged is Maxwell Anderson, and he was taken into custody pretty early into this investigation.
Right. Jenna, I wanted to ask you if you and your team there on the ground have learned anything more about this guy, as we've been really trying to dig into his past and looking at what we've been able to see from his record. It didn't seem like there was anything in his past that would really raise any red flags.
The only thing that raised some red flags for us were a couple of convictions of disorderly conduct. So he did plead guilty to 3 separate convictions and charges of disorderly conduct. He also has a few convictions involving intimidating a witness as well. He was actually very well known in the community here in Milwaukee, and that's what we've been learning over the last 3 weeks since Maxwell Anderson was taken into custody. So he was first taken into custody with no charges, so he was being able to be held by police for just a specific amount of time. And we've learned he was heavily involved in the restaurant community here in Milwaukee. He worked at several popular bars, restaurants, and even concert venues in the city. Again, we mentioned those previous court records show that he had pleaded guilty to separate counts of disorderly conduct, and that's where that kind of tracks back to the now charges that he's facing. You mentioned intentional homicide, that charge. He's also facing the charge of mutilating a corpse as well as arson, as investigators believe he actually burned Sade's car with her clothes that she was wearing that night of their first date.
Oh, it's so devastating, as you know. Scripps News Milwaukee investigative journalist Jenna Ray, thank you so much for this information. We hope to talk to you again about this case very soon.
Thank you.
I want to turn to my guest now, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor Daryl Cohen, somebody who is no stranger to high-profile cases. You've represented some very high-profile people. This case, it's captured the hearts of people around the world. We have this, young woman. I mean, she's a baby. She's 19, doing nothing wrong, going out on a date, trying to find love with a guy, and then this. Your thoughts on the prosecution, how solid this case looks, and the family, what, if anything, they can do at this point?
Well, let's start with the family. It's very difficult, and the words are easy for me to say, but it's not easy for the family to do. Be strong. If you feel like you need to cry, cry. Get it out. Mourn and look for a result of a conviction for murder. He's not yet charged with murder, but murder in the courtroom. So what else do you do? You're looking, as we see it now, it appears that the evidence is good. I don't see where previous convictions that he had were anything other than perhaps intoxication and just raising Cain. I don't see that as a red flag.
Right.
So this is something that was, I would say, was a PFA, picked from air. It just happened, and maybe there were no previous watch outs, no even caution flags. There are people that do evil, and it appears that he is one of those people, for whatever the reason, committed a horrendous crime. And not only did he kill her, apparently, but dismembering her is just beyond belief, something that's almost impossible to talk about.
Right, Daryl. It really is. It's the unthinkable, yet we know it happened. It happened. Sade Robinson's family is trying to cope with this, come to terms with it, working through the trauma, heal from it. I loved what you said about doing what you need to do in the moment to just make it through. We hope and pray that they get justice, and this is a very important case that has captured the attention of people around the world, as you know, Daryl. So we'll continue following it very closely. Thank you for your time, your expertise this morning here on Opening Statements. We've got to leave it there for now.